Hi there. This is a reading for Leo, and it is also a reading for a character in my science fiction writing process that this channel is currently a part of, who is named Manel, and she is a Leo. And the point of this reading is both to give you a sense of where you're at and where and what's kind of coming into your life, but also to begin to develop this character. And you, viewer of this channel, you get to become a part of this character because your energy enters into this reading. And so we're going to find out more about Manel, our Leo. And we're going to do a reading that is inspired by a channel called Awakening to Spirit. I follow this channel, and my favorite reader, Cindy, she does so many great creative readings, and I highly recommend her channel. She's very empathic and very likable, disarmingly, charmingly silly, and then an incredibly brilliant reading if you stick with her. All right, so we're going to do an oracle card, and then we're going to look at what you should release, what you should embrace, what is hidden from you, and what is coming in for you. So we'll start with an oracle card from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, just to kind of get an overall flavor of where Leos are at and where our character is at. I'm not sure about her name, Manel. You know, her friends like to tease her and call her Manny and Nelly. Okay, let me not over shuffle here. All right, so the card for today is Fruition. So this is about bringing in the harvest. It's about the fruits of your labor coming in. And there's a mask here, and so there's a masked person under a full moon, the harvest moon here. We're reminded in this card to take care of ourselves. But yeah, you're bringing in the fruits of your labor. Okay, I got this card for myself today. On the bottom we get surrender. This seems very much the feeling of Manel, who is a spiritual seeker. So I'm actually going to read that underlying energy card, surrender. So I don't know what it is yet. I know what fruition is, but what is the meaning of surrender here? Number 26. Okay. My dog is telling me that he ate his lunch and I ought to give him a treat. So, yes. Surrender. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. Let go of what you no longer need. Stop being so stubborn about holding on to aspects and behaviors that don't align with who you are now. Stop struggling. I let go. I surrender my struggle. I allow the universe to work through me. Remember, this phase is dark and beautiful. It casts a protective shadow that allows us to be as wide open as we need to be to do our work. We reveal safely to only the divine and ourselves, and then the light returns. Letting go and surrendering admits or exposes a vulnerability or two. Right, so surrender is something that you do only with a safe person, in the presence of your higher power, or a true friend that is trustworthy. Okay, so let's find out more. We're gonna use the Wild Unknown Tarot, and my dog's given up on his treat, so we'll get him later. He's got me very well trained. Okay, so Leo, let's pull 4 cards. Release, embrace, hidden, incoming. Got a little guide over here to remind myself of what this is about. I'm gonna split the deck. Okay. Let's find out about your little story, my friend. What should you release? You should release the Eight of Cups. This is discontent. Often the Eight of Cups is it's time to leave an unfulfilling situation and go forward, go onward for a Nine of Cups, which is fulfilling. This is telling me that you ought to release that idea, but we'll find out more. That's interesting. So if you tend to be a discontent person, you might consider how to release that. Oops. Secondly, you ought to embrace victory. This is the Six of Wands. So we see in this beautiful butterfly rising from the darkness. The Six of Wands is always a person above the crowd. They have prevailed in some way. This is in the wands, in the fire, in the creativity, in the willpower. Okay. I already saw what your hidden influence is. A new passionate start, a new idea, an Ace of Wands. We can see all the energy here coming from this. Very sun, excitement, very energetic. So this would be hidden from you, but it is incoming. You've achieved some kind of victory, and now there's something new that is hidden and will be revealed to you, I suspect. And your incoming is a Three of Cups. This is reconciliation. This is friendship. Yeah, so the character Manel ought to leave behind discontent, find gratitude for the victory that has been achieved. A new inspiration will come in, and this will bring her into community with others. And we can see that the colors are the same. So we've got this new idea, and then it brings us into these friendships, into this community, and if needed, into reconciliation with people that you have been at odds with. And this is certainly a part of Manel's story, because Manel has a darkness to her spiritual. She's a bit of a fundamentalist. She's got a lot of earth in her sign, and so she definitely seeks surrender in her practice, and she's perhaps even overly willing to trust and to surrender to the divine as it appears to her, very often through a teacher, through a stronger spiritual leader. But that when she gets a hold of that idea, she does some harm as a result of that. She becomes at odds with the people in her community. And it would appear that there is some victory for her in that. But there's also here, I see rising from the darkness. So to release some kind of dark, discontented, heavy energy, and to rise above this in this much brighter, lighter blue way. And blue, the color blue, also we see green here. I think of authenticity, heart and throat. So we've got, and this is definitely a part of Manel's story. It's what makes her an interesting character and a person that has so much a part of the plot of the books I'm writing, actually. Her spiritual transformation and something new, this reminds me of the fire. I told you that, and I don't know if this is going to happen in my story, but in the Aeneid, Dido throws herself on the fire, and so does her sister Anna, who is the original basis for the character Manel. And then there is reconciliation. That is true in the books as well. Now, as far as the story that's happening in the present, I don't know. So we see on the bottom here as another influence. We see the Empress, that earthly, generative, so an earth-centered person of the divine feminine as a part of this underlying energy. So let's see if we can find out more about you, Leo. And you know, we got to know, like, fire is your element, inspiration, creativity, and also I think of Leos as liking to be around others and to be among friends, to be recognized as a part of, but also recognized as, you know, as this Empress, as having that that beautiful pink light in the darkness that this particular Empress, who makes me think of the oak trees here in the woods, that she brings into our consciousness. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and shuffle these cards and clarify. We'll give 3 cards for each one. And this is the Guardian of the Night deck. It's a beautiful, beautiful deck. All right. I picked these decks because they have awesome lions in them. We have, as yet, we have not seen any lions. So, okay, so this is what you are releasing. And we get the 8 of Cups, that discontent, that idea that you need to leave to go elsewhere for fulfillment. So we see healing, the 4 of Swords, this little sweet creature nestled down, resting. So healing is about being in the Swords. This is a spiritual, intellectual, truth seeking. Yeah. So, and it makes sense to me that giving up discontent, that the way to that could be a 4 of Swords process of, you know, just kind of going inward, alone, supported by your divine guides, and healing, perhaps changing your mind. Secondly, we get, well, there's your 9 of Cups. This is a gorgeous peacock. So you're being asked to release the 8 of Cups. Perhaps you ought to notice that you already have everything that you need to be fulfilled. That's one way of reading this. And thirdly, we get the Fool. Okay. We get the Fool. This wolf wants to play with this bunny rabbit. I always think here, this reminds me of a friend's dog. Hey, a Leo friend's dog. This reminds me of Cody. In case you're watching this, Katie. Yeah. So I always think of Cody when I see that card. Cody, kind of, you know, socially inept dog that he is, wants to play with the bunny rabbit, and of course, then he'll probably get annoyed at the bunny rabbit. Okay, so we're going to come back to this, but we see releasing discontent, a shift in trusting your divine guides, to show you that you are in fact already in fulfillment. You're already in the 9 of Cups. This says you're right where you need to be. All, you know, you're taken care of. All of your needs are taken care of. So I'm reading this as needing to find contentment and gratitude. Yeah, and I suddenly think of a particular Leo that I know for whom that would be just an incredibly annoying thing to say, and I'm sorry about that. You know, when you're around parental units who say that you're ungrateful, to be advised gratitude as a method of perspective shifting could be quite annoying. But what this allows you to do is to be this sweet wolf venturing out on the ice, drawn by the heart, by the curiosity, to befriend this bunny rabbit, which is, you know, the Fool is the leaper of faith, and is often, risks being told that they're foolish. But in fact, this is a beautiful state from which to do life. So this is telling you to change your perspective. Okay, that was the King of Swords there. Truth, the truth. It's like, just kind of affirm that I'm right. Yeah, so we've got Manel here is a person that struggles with recognizing and being in gratitude. So they need to change their mind. Okay. That's interesting. Is Manel third gender? It's a very non-binary name, isn't it? Manny, Nelly. I feel like her friends are going to tease her about that. Okay. But she has great hair, because she's a Leo. I'm feeling silly. Okay. So silly. There's silliness. So this is the energy of the Fool. So I'm feeling that. I'm catching your energy, Leo. Wow, that's so trippy when that happens. Okay. What you ought to embrace. This is the Lovers. Now, the Lovers can be true love with your the person that brings out the best in you. They're not going to change you. They're going to recognize you as when I see. So we're clarifying the moth, and so we have got a double moth rising from darkness. The artist here talks about how scorpions are capable of really. Let me just remind myself, because it's such a weird thing. But let's quickly the Lovers. Okay. So she learned that scorpions, as she was doing the art for this during coronavirus, isolating. So she says, this is when I discovered the awesomeness that is the scorpion. Not only does their mating ritual begin with a dance, but some females are also particularly critical of their dancing partner and will cut the night short by killing their date. This is one creature who knows what they like and don't like, and isn't afraid of expressing themselves. Yes, so this is what you're to embrace, Leo. Scorpions are independent and are self-reliant. They also bring passion and danger to a relationship. Scorpions have a strong intuition, and being so close to the ground, they are firmly centered. When entering a relationship, call upon this wise arachnid to help you create a lasting and mutually fulfilling spark. Traditionally, the Lovers represents a union of two forces, a relationship that creates strength and passion when forged. However, you are not asked to release your beliefs or conform to another's preferences completely. Harmony is achieved when the Lovers work together, when they allow some give and take to pull out the best from one another, much like a dance. Whereas the Hierophant represents collective beliefs, the Lovers speak to your individuality. What ideas and convictions do you offer the relationship? Where is your passion? We see that the moth here, which we're kind of getting drawn to look towards, represents rebirth, renewal, change, and the soul. And the scorpion represents protection, beliefs, passion, and strong opinions. That's very perfect for Manel, who has very strong religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs. And this is something that, in getting to know this character, I personally had to struggle with. And I want my characters to be complicated, and they're not always, that means that they're not, 100% perfectly easy to love. In fact, I think that loving is coming to know a person with all their prickliness and all of their beauty, and to see the prickliness not as, something that you love them despite that, but in fact as a part of what you love and embrace. And that has been my relationship with this character, Manel. So I embrace Manel's female scorpion kills her mate if she doesn't like them very strong grace, the grace of the dancer here. And this moth rising. And I see here also that there is a kind of healing, the symbol here, the caduceus of healing. So this process of the lovers in this deck is quite a powerful healing union. And the lovers also traditionally can signal a choice. So if you have some kind of choice that you're making, this is, you're choosing, embrace that. But I definitely see this moth rising here. And we're told that this represents the soul. And so I think also the spiritual here. And I see that in our fruition. So there's a kind of rooting out of like all of the labor that you have put into your spiritual journey, into your this is you're harvesting the fruits of your labor. Makes me think of the Seven of Pentacles too, and there's lots of bugs buzzing around and moths and everything buzzing around this bouquet of fruit and flowers. Kind of a still life. What else about the 6, your victory? Wow, there seems to be, like, I'm kind of surprised, but there is a relationship here to be embraced, and it is a romantic relationship, Leo. This is, it could be a friendship, truly compatible people that get to be themselves with each other. This card reiterates that. These are two people who are very honest. The wands are fire, passion, creativity. This card is like, you get to be yourselves with one another. You can tell these birds are just having a great conversation. This is a part of what you embrace. What else? Okay, and we have more wands. This is communication. So I said that they have a great conversation. Perhaps this is a conversation. This can be travel. I see that snaky river with all of that energy exploding out from it. Very kind of a mystical, feels very like a spiritual. There's another card that has that in it, and it's about ascension. So there's a kind of divine message. And we, again, the flying up from the wands that is in this image is reiterated here. So you're taking flight, and you ought to embrace this. And it would appear that a part of this is a true friendship or even a romantic soulmate partnership, something like very real. It brings out your true self, your best self. It's a great conversation. This is what you're told to embrace. And I had never, giving my characters love interests and partners and connections, it could get very incestuous if you just have 7 characters and they all, have different relationships with each other. But what this causes me to do as a fiction writer is to just keep questioning about Manel and Manel's story, and how some kind of partnership comes into this. Of course, she's a sister to Dido, but is also kind of the way that sisters, there's just something kind of romantic between Anna and Dido, in the way that artistically it's represented, that the sacrifice that Anna makes of trying to save Dido from the fire, it's an incredible love gift. And so some of the visual representations of this, it looks like a kind of a lesbian love story. And I've never had that in my fantasy. But it is so clear to me in these narratives that Dido is this incredibly compelling character. Everybody's in love with her, in the way that you fall in love with your leader. And to your debt, and and this is very risky because she is just a human being and she is flawed. In fact, in the Aeneid, she kills herself. The gods make her go crazy. And this has been a part of my struggle in writing this story is like, how do you motivate people to want to read about a character who commits suicide? And I won't tell you that because it's still kind of working out in my mind, whether she will even commit suicide or not. When I read Romeo and Juliet, I always want to change the ending. I like that we can have like a story and we can know how it's going to end, and in fact we can revise the ending. And so I think that's important to tell you here in this embrace part, Leo, that you might think how it's going to end, and you just might be wrong. The ending, it might turn out differently from how it has always turned out. There is a soul journey here. It is a love story, or at least the story of a true best friend, soulmate connection. It is full of talk. It is full of dance and joy and cherry blossoms. And so embrace this without fear that it's going to end in this tragedy. There's no tragedy in this. We have a future of true friendship. But let's keep looking here, Leo. Okay, hidden energies. The Ace of Wands, which is an idea. It's a new, creative, or passionate beginning. Whew. Okay, so yeah. Ace of Cups. You're not seeing this, you don't know it's there yet, but it's there. There's somebody has a love offer for you. Wow. Movement. This takes me back to, right, you got the Four of Swords and what you need to release. This is continuing that journey, which is kind of changing your mind. Change, spiritual change. And that is definitely, Manel has an ideology that causes her to do harm. And she needs to change her strategy. She needs to shift from one story or one ideology into a new passion, a new idea, a new ideology. There's a movement in the realm of truth and in the intellect, the Six of Swords. It could be just literally there's a trip afoot. And when you get the Six of Swords, the sea turtle here, there's something also for me in this card about survival, about evolution. And also the fact is that you carry home on your back and you're a good traveler, Leo. So this is hidden. So there's love, passion, a changing of your mind. Okay, so here's a story. This embracing this love that you're afraid of, that you're afraid is going to end in suicide or some kind of tragedy, that is going to change you. It's going to change your mind. It's going to take Manel from one dark ideology that causes her to do harm, maybe causes her to be defended. Love changes her, and it changes her. That is the passion and the love. The Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands causes her to go on this journey. And yes, in the one place of her story where there's multiple stories and multiple timelines, Manel is going on a big journey, and people are going to get on ships and they're going to go out into space. And this is definitely about being an endangered species, the planet being endangered, and travel as a means of preserving Earth from humanity, which has, which has gone very dark and very destructive. Yeah, so even if like what you're releasing isn't the needing to leave, but you're releasing the set of ideas and the place that you need to leave. Because there is a journey. There's a journey also in this card as well, in your embrace, that is coming in unbeknownst to you. And finally, to really confirm what I have already said, this is the Hangman. Oh, my nose itches. I think that means I'm right. The Hangman is, this little possum, and notice that he's enlightened or she's enlightened. They are enlightened. You are, there's a process in which you're stuck here. There's a new passion, a new love. There's a travel. So I think it's a spiritual journey. It's a spiritual shift as well as a real journey. But you're unable to go on that until you've hung out here upside down and looked at the world from that position, from that very opposite vantage point that you normally look at it, in order to gain a new perspective, which is a new spiritual sensibility. And here we see surrender, and we see that this will produce fruit. This is a fruitful process of surrender. I just noticed here that the little possum is hanging over some thorns, but also some rosebuds. And perspective is, am I discontented? Do I see what I lack? Or do I see what I have? My total, absolute fulfillment here. I mean, this peacock is like super satisfied, and everybody's seeing just how rich the peacock is. And so you can either see the thorns or you can see the blooms here. And that is how perspective shifts. Okay, future, incoming. We have a 3 of Cups, some kind of reconciliation, a community, friendship. Let's find out what else. Okay, we get, oh wow, there's so much beginning. An Ace of Swords, a new truth. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would just be repetitive to go into that. There is Manel getting a new truth, you getting a new truth. You got an Ace of Wands, an Ace of Cups, an Ace of Swords. The only one we're missing is an Ace of Pentacles. There aren't many pentacles. In fact, there's 0 pentacles here. Those would be concerned with money, with work, home, stability, abundance in the 3D. The underlying energy is a King of Pentacles. That's you're very stable, so maybe you don't need to worry about pentacles in this reading. We get the Truth Bringer. So to reiterate, the person in your life, this lover, this Ace of Wands, this Ace of Cups, this 8 of Wands, or 4 of Wands, this love, this true friend, this soulmate, this is your truth bringer that brings you back into right relation. And to reiterate fruition, we get a wasp, the 8 of Pentacles. So I love when I say, you haven't received any pentacles in this reading, and here are the pentacles. This is a new skill, a new, and I see this wasp building a wasp's nest, filling it with pentacles. Quite a dangerous animal or bug. But here we see the 8 of Pentacles is not about danger. It's about being a master craftsman or learning a new craft and being a hard worker. Yeah. So you get, or Manel gets somebody, a very important somebody, comes in. You have love, passion, truth. You share these things with one another, and it changes your perspective on all the way down to the spiritual level. There is a spiritual surrender here that is transformative on a soul level, and it takes you into a new way of thinking that you then build with your friends, with your Three of Cups, with your community. You reconcile with them if needed, and with them, with your little Page of Swords, you become the master of a new trade, of a new spirituality. That's what I think is Manel's story. But for you, Leo, what is the new trade that you learn, that you put your labors into? We can see you are underlying in the King of Pentacles, quite stable, quite secure, quite dependable, quite beautiful. Yeah, and in this, there is this bird and these friends, Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great fortune for you, my friend. And I hope it helps you. And it's definitely got my wheels turning about this character. I have a few friends that I think of as models for this character. Not all of whom are Leos, but people that I love who are quite spiritual and can be, earth, super stubborn, right? Here's that, all the earth signs. So that answers my question, because I was wondering, is Manel a Taurus or a Virgo? And King, that's a fixed sign I've learned recently. So we'll make Manel a Taurus. Also, the bull could double up on that. So somebody, yeah. Okay, I got right up into my little head there, and I lost my train of thought. But yeah, this is the connection here. The fruits of your labors, flowers that you turn into. I don't know what wasps put in their nests. It must be some relative of honey, but it is food, storing food away. Do you want to look? Let's look at this Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, I turned right to it. Okay, well, if you want to stick around, we're going to find out a little bit more about this Eight of Pentacles. Maybe it'll relate to you. I may not want to cozy up to a paper wasp's nest, but I can appreciate the workmanship and design that goes into creating one. Could you produce a perfect hexagon from chewed up wood pulp? Me neither. These busy, not bees, can teach us a thing or two about diligence and attention to detail. When the Eight of Pentacles appears, you may be focused on creating something that keeps you inspired every step of the way. It may be tedious, but the work itself is almost addictive. Your situation may require you to give more than you have in the past. Dive in, learn as much as possible, and allow yourself to slip into that ever-productive, deep state of creative flow. There's but one caveat, and that is you may find yourself lost in perfecting each detail. You may get so caught up or hung up on one small portion of the project that the rest of it never sees the light of day. Use this time to gain as much wisdom and insight as possible. Learn from every misstep or miscut, as it will only help you speed up the process to perfection for future projects. If you are feeling stuck, the Eight of Pentacles may indicate you need outside help or a teacher who can show you the route to success. So here's your teacher, right? You have a person coming in, your other in the Four of Wands, your other in the Lover. They are bringing truth. It's kind of a little truth, but it helps you to change your view of the world and move spiritually into a new place. Cool. The energy of the wasp will keep you inspired to move forward, create, and keep going until the job is done. With the wasp comes a community. When you work with the wasp, you too will find support from those around you who wish to assist you in reaching your goal. Skill, education, mastery, construction, and community go with this card. Right. Yeah. So you, my friend Leo, and Manel, my character, are tasked with a dramatic change in perspective and building what is an inspired new thing with others. And I recently did a reading for my character Zan, who has always been a psychic character, able to perceive the future. And like Cassandra and Alexandra in the Trojan story, able to foresee the future, but frustrated by a curse that means that nobody can understand or believe her prophecies. And she has somehow something to do with this, because in her reading, I was surprised to find that in her future is the high priest, a kind of institutional, spiritual life. And I saw her as that high priest. I've always thought Manel would be that priest in my story, but what I'm finding is that there may be a kind of partnership that comes here. Now, Zan has another love interest in my vision for this story, but there is friendship. There's many true friendships in this story. In fact, it's science fiction, but it's also a story about knowing one another for a very, very long time, across lives, across huge spans of history, and re-encountering one another in different worlds and different historical moments in order to continue this project. And I often think sci-fi, it takes so long to travel from one place to another in like a space opera, which is my favorite genre of sci-fi. And so how do you remedy the fact that of the time it takes to cover huge distances? And ways that sci-fi authors remedy this is they create gates so that you can travel vast distances just by going through a gate, or people get frozen. And in my story, because I like and feel, I don't know, intuitively I believe in reincarnation, we get to see cycles of history that are carried forward as people are born again and again into our story. And of course, I am inspired in my writing by Shikasta and Doris Lessing and the stories that she gave me when I was a young sci-fi reader. So, welcome to my archive. Welcome to my vision, Leo. Welcome to your place as a part of the character Manel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.